Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Don't be a doofus. It is election eve, and over 95 million people have already voted by voting early, and according to the number of mailed in ballots that have been received. In 2016, about 128 million voted in total. So there has been a significant number of Americans voting, a much larger number voting early as opposed to 2016, but that's to be expected both in a pandemic and in a time of crisis when people are motivated to let their voices be heard through the ballot box. It is an incredibly important election. COVID-19, as I said, in a pandemic, and winter coming upon us, and supposedly the virus transmits easier in cold weather, if you are to believe science, and I hope we do. A couple of other things I wanted to talk about real briefly tonight, and another grand juror in the Breonna Taylor grand jury, another grand juror has come out and is speaking anonymously, and said that the entire group was outraged that there would be no charges brought against any of the officers for the death of Breonna Taylor. And so it's appearing more and more like Daniel Cameron's trying to place the blame on a decision that was possibly made for political clout, from political pressure. But it looks more and more like things weren't played out the way they should have. We will probably never know. Staying in Kentucky, the story is broken about the Kentucky State Police and their training, and training that ended 7 years ago, but training nonetheless that the officers that are in the field now, many of them received this training. And it's a New York Times article. I'll post a link to the article in case you want to read it. But basically what the article does is it quotes Adolf Hitler, and it's on a red, white, and blue backdrop, of American flag backdrop, American eagle, and then the words "violence of action." This is part of the past Kentucky State Police training. Ruthlessness without anger, controlled aggression without anger, able to meet violence with greater violence, a mindset void of emotion where perception, analysis, and response merge into one process. Perceptions and actions are not hindered by the potential of death. And this one is underlined, meaning that you could link to learn more about this one. Be the loving father, spouse, and friend, as well as the ruthless killer. And also on that same bit of educational material, quote from Einstein: "The world is a dangerous place, not because those who do evil, but because those who look on and do nothing." And the quote from Hitler: "The very first essential for success is a perpetually constant and regular employment of violence." Now that's what that's what Kentucky State Police were taught. How do we know this? Well, it was exposed by high school students, actually students that go to DuPont Manual High School in Louisville, Kentucky. And I want to give credit to those Satchel Walton and Cooper Walton were the two investigative reporters that uncovered this. So again, I'm going to put the link up so you can go and read the rest of the story. But I want to give you some responses that have come in just the last little bit. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear responded to this story. Quote, "This is an absolute unacceptable. It is further unacceptable that I just learned about this through social media. We will collect all the facts and take immediate corrective action." Morgan Hall, the communications director for the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet, sent this statement, quote, "It is unacceptable that this material was ever included in the training of law enforcement. Our administration does not condone the use of this material. This material is not currently a part of any training materials." And then Representative John Yarmouth, congressman from the 3rd District of Kentucky, said, quote, "I'm angry. As a Kentuckian, I'm angry and embarrassed. As a Jewish American, I'm genuinely disturbed that there are people like this who not only walk among us, but who have been entrusted to keep us safe. There needs to be consequences," end quote. So following along the same lines, again, two kids broke this in a high school newspaper. And if you read their story, even their headline, it is eerily close to the New York Times report. So kudos to those kids for digging in, and hopefully this actually shows some people what's been going on in many police departments. And I'm not going to overgeneralize. I'm not going to be monolithic thinking. I'm not going to say all police departments, but in many police departments, a lot of the same kind of training has been going on. And we've seen what it's led to. And it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. So that takes us from Kentucky across the Ohio River to the state of Indiana, and specifically the city of Seymour, Indiana. And last night, a man was shot and killed by Jackson County sheriffs. And for some reason, my computer went a little wacky here, and I need to get to the story. Thank you for holding on with me there. A theft suspect shot by Seymour police Sunday night has died at the hospital. According to Sergeant Stephen Wills from Indiana State Police, officers responded to a report of a theft, shoplifting from Walmart on East Tipton Street at about 8:30 p.m. Officers arrived, located a man matching the description. Police say the man was armed with a gun and ran from officers. It's unclear at this point if he pointed his weapon at police or if he ever fired the gun. I have, let me find the email. I've got an official response from the Indianapolis State Police Department. And basically the Indiana State Police Department is saying that it's under investigation, and that yesterday, November 1st, detectives from the Indiana State Police Versailles Post began investigating an officer-involved shooting that occurred along US 50 near Burkhart Boulevard in Seymour, Indiana. Again, this is an official release from the Indiana State Police Department. The initial investigation indicated that at approximately 8:30, officers with the Seymour Police Department were called to the Walmart Supercenter located at, and gives their address, to investigate a theft from the store. Upon arriving in the area, The officers located a white male matching the suspect's description. The man fled from officers on foot northbound towards Tipton Street. The investigation determined that the man entered a ditch in front of Taco Bell while armed with a handgun. 2 Seymour police officers fired their weapons, striking the suspect. He was provided medical attention at the scene before being transported to the medical center in Seymour, where he died as a result of the gunshot wounds. No officers were injured in the incident. The Seymour Police Department requested detectives from the Indiana State Police Post conduct an investigation. At this time, they're working to identify the man who was shot, and autopsy is scheduled for Tuesday, November 3rd. At the conclusion of the investigation, the case will be presented to the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office for review. So that's the official Indiana State Police position. The media just said a man shot, and because of the way the media handles things, we automatically assumed it was a white man, because if it had not been, it would have been black man shot robbing Walmart. So yet another police shooting that from the description doesn't sound like it was a necessary execution, and that's basically what it became. It became police officers being judge, jury, and executioners all there in the same matter of seconds. And think back to what we just talked about, that article about the training. There needs to be investigations into how police are being trained, and there needs to be ramifications for actions that are clearly not in the best interest of protecting and serving. And if that's not what police are about anymore, maybe we ought to be aware of that too. Just something to think about. It's election eve. I've polled some past guests of the show, and I asked who's going to win tomorrow. Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Biden? And it's pretty well split down the middle. I had one response that it's going to be Trump because this is the majority of this country's white supremacist nation. And the only reason the poll numbers look the way they do is because white supremacists don't respond to polls very well, but they do come out and vote. So that could have been what happened in 2016. So I'm certainly not going to discount that. On the other side, I had another former guest say Biden is going to win, but not tomorrow. That we won't have any election results for a few up to several days. And in actuality, we won't really have a president until the Electoral College votes. And each state is granted so many electoral votes depending upon the population of the state. And if there are state electoral college representatives that do not vote the way the citizens of their state voted, that could throw a giant wrench into an already abysmal 2020. So we'll be talking about it. We'll be watching it. We'll keep an eye on it. And tomorrow night we'll be live. I'm not exactly sure what time I'm going to be live, depending on how the voting is playing out. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe. Please hit the notification. If you're already a subscriber, hit the notification button so you know when I'm on live tomorrow night, and come and talk with me. That's probably what it'll be. It'll be just a hangout talking about things while observing the election results come in. Unless something massively breaks, if something does break, well, I'll pop on live whenever that happens. It is the American Doofus Show. Do not be a doofus. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Try to find somebody to love. If you don't have anybody, if you do have someone, hold on to them. It could get really dark really fast in our country. And possibly the only two things that might overcome it's prayer and love. And I pray for all of you, and I love all of you. Until next time, I'm Barry Welsh.